I come from Venezuela, but I live in the Netherlands. So I am a teacher, and I actually teach teachers. That's what I do for a living. I train teachers to go to your classrooms and teach English. So I have 3 kids. I have 3 children, and one is 6, one is 4, and one is 2. And what else? I love going to the beach. I love traveling. So I really hope that one day I make it to India because it's one of the countries that I want to visit. So I'm really, really happy to be here today.
Thank you so much. All of you say hola.
Hi. Hola.
So Indian greeting, how do we greet the Indians? Namaste.
Huh? Okay. Mhm. Mhm. Good.
Okay, shall we start?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Okay, who is
Hi.
From mother is 6th grader. Can I ask one question, ma'am?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Difficult to hear.
How good is the Netherlands education system?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is actually a really good question, and I would say that the education system in the Netherlands is really good. Students go through different systems, and the Netherlands has actually a highly regarded education system that is good for its quality and innovation, which means that teachers try different things like your teacher today to teach their students. One of the most important things is that it emphasizes on taking care of the students. Students are the star of the classroom. So I would say that it's a really, really good system, really effective. Hi.
This is Sneha, a 6th grader. Can I ask a question, ma'am? Can I ask a question, ma'am? Is 7 a good grade in the Netherlands?
Oh, yes, that's also a very good question. Let me look because I have some tips here. In the Netherlands, we have the grading system from 1 to 10. So 7 is actually considered a good grade. It's good. 7 is equivalent to the B in the American system and is considered satisfactory. So if a student got a 7, it means that he did well, that he actually learned that he can do better, but it is actually a good grade. Hi.
My name is Sinduja. I am studying 6th grade. I would like to ask you one question, ma'am.
Sure, absolutely.
What subjects are taught in high schools in Netherlands?
So, you're asking me about how are high schools in the Netherlands? What subjects?
Yes, ma'am. What subjects are taught in high schools in Netherlands?
As well. It's interesting because here in the Netherlands, students can take courses like different languages, French, Spanish, English, of course, always. They also take math, music, technical issues like how to fix a car, how to do different things with their hands. So, but they are basically, they take arts also, like theater, like sculpture, painting. So there are different types of subjects that students can take. And actually, they can decide what they want to study. Like they choose the subjects that they want to take in high school. But English is very, very important here in high school. Hi.
This is Radhika Priya, a 6th grader. I would like to ask you a question, ma'am.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Nice to meet you.
What standardized tests are organized in English language to test the students over there?
Okay. Yeah. There is a standardized test that students need to take, and that's the IELTS. Have you heard of it? The IELTS? It's an English standardized test that they need to take, students need to take before leaving high school. That way they show that they have a good proficiency in English. There are not standardized tests for any other subjects, only English and the IELTS.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
My name is Sam Shiva, a sixth grader. Can I ask one question, ma'am?
Please do. Go ahead. Nice to meet you.
What qualifications are required? What qualifications are required to become a teacher in Netherlands?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, there are actually some qualifications that you need to become a teacher in the Netherlands. Basically, you need to have a bachelor's or master's degree in education. So you have to go to university and you have to finish an education program. And it has to be done here in the Netherlands. What else? For some positions, such as working with special education, you need special qualifications and you also need work experience. And you have to be, of course, you need to speak Dutch. You need to be proficient in Dutch.
Ma'am,
Hi.
this is Jeshna Likita, a sixth grader. I would like to ask one question, ma'am.
Please do. Nice to meet you.
Does the schools cost money in the Netherlands?
Say it again. Mhm.
Does the school cost money in Netherlands?
Ah, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. It's me. It's really noisy. Thank you for your question. No. Primary schools and high schools are free in the Netherlands. So parents, moms and dads don't need to pay for school. Universities are, you need to pay to attend university, and but it's not as expensive as any other countries. So I would say that for primary school and for high schools, you don't need to pay anything. Thank you. Okay, Hari, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm happy to be
In the
here.
year 2022, I went to United States of America as a Fulbrighter, where I met one teacher from Venezuela.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
I will
Okay.
share her photo and our group photo with you today itself, because there are many photos that I shared with her.
Okay.
Sorry. So I would like to ask a question. And how long have you been living in this?
I have been living here in the Netherlands for 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I was living in Venezuela, South America, right? Do you know where Venezuela is?
Yes, my students know that it's a part of South America. Yeah, it is one of the
Venezuela in South, next to Brazil and Colombia. And then I moved here to the Netherlands, and I actually live in the border with Belgium. So the front of my house is in Belgium, and the rest of my house is in the Netherlands. Yeah.
Oh. So I think how big is Netherlands? So you have been living there for 9 years. How many countries you have traveled so far?
Yeah. Well, the Netherlands is actually a very, very, very small country. I've been basically to everywhere in Europe and in South America. And I also have traveled to Central America because my family lives in Panama. So my family lives in Venezuela and Panama.
Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
My name is Sindhu. I am a sixth grader. I would like to ask a question, ma'am.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
How are teachers trained in Netherlands? Are they well paid? How are teachers trained in Netherlands? Are teachers well paid there?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're well paid and they have good vacations, and they have good benefits. So it's not only the money, but also like all the benefits that they have as teachers. So I think being a teacher in the Netherlands is a good idea.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like a question, ma'am.
Hi, go ahead. Nice to meet you.
What types of schools are there in Netherlands?
Yeah, there are quite some. Thank you for your question. There are several types of schools, public schools. These are schools that The parents don't need to pay, and they're open for all students, no matter their religion or belief. There are special schools, and the schools are specific for religions like Catholic, Protestant, okay? There are also international schools where they offer all the subjects in English. And there are also private schools, but there are not too many, where they are owned and operated by different educational philosophies. For example, Montessori schools. There are also vocational schools and higher education schools.
Thank you.
In training, how long does a teacher need to undergo for a training before she or he hit the schools to teach?
Yeah.
How vigorous the training is?
Okay.
What
As
subjects
you
are
know, as you know, I work for Westcliff University. And that is in the United States. It's not here in the Netherlands. So we train teachers there as well, and they need to go through a 4-year bachelor's degree and then a 2-year master's. So they need to be trained 6 years to become teachers. And after that, they need to continue with a certification depending on the state that they want to teach. For example, my students teach in California. They need to take a test, a certification for teaching there. But if they move to Washington, they need to take another test to teach in Washington. So they get their degrees, but they still need certification to teach.
For instance, if I want to get a teaching certificate from your university, am I really eligible to teach some other countries other than India?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we have students from all over the world. My last group of students were from Russia, Nepal, Vietnam, India, China, Japan. So once you have that degree, you can teach anywhere, depending, of course, of the other requirements that your country asks for. But with our degree, you can teach anywhere.
So what's the qualification required, and do we need to take any tests before we get admission?
Yeah, you need a high school diploma with good grades, with passing grade, of course, and then the only exam that you need to take is an English exam. You can show proof of English proficiency by submitting an IELTS test score or TOEFL test score. And if you don't have any, we also offer a CPE. It's our own test, English test that you can take and prove your English proficiency.
Okay, we have some questions regarding the Venezuela, your
Okay,
country.
good.
My first question is, can you explain the education system prevailing in Venezuela?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question?
So can you explain the education system prevailing in
Okay.
Venezuela?
Well, absolutely. The education system in Venezuela is much more simpler than here in the Netherlands. It's mandatory to go to school when you're 4. When you're 4 years old, you need to attend school. Then you have 2 years of preschool, 6 years of primary school, and 5 years of high school. And in high school, you study subjects like philosophy, sociology, chemistry, physics, English, French. And there are only 2 types. No, there are 3 types of schools. The public schools that are run by the government, the private schools that are run by companies, and the third one is international schools, in which they teach all the subjects in English.
I have a supplementary question regarding the public school system in your country, Venezuela. Which school system is popular in Venezuela? Is a public school system run by the government, or the private school system run by the private individuals?
Yeah, well, as you said, the public school system is run by the government, and because of all the political situations going on in Venezuela, and all this, it's not good right now in Venezuela. So the schools, teachers are quitting, and there are not too many teachers at school. So what's happening is that students are teaching students. So I would say that the system right now is not good enough as it used to be. And many students are migrating from the public education system to the private education system.
Okay.
Okay.
Please explain the quality of life in Netherlands.
Quality of life is really, really high. It's good because people here live quietly. Specifically, where I live, it's like there's nothing, no traffic, no pollution, and people actually work. There is a nice balance between work and life, and I was just looking for the lifespan to share with you, and it's around 82 years. So
82.
this is way higher than the global average life expectancy that is 73. Dutch people live up to 82 years.
Okay.
And it has to do with the fact that they eat well. They are really concentrated on health and being healthy. And instead of taking the car, they take the bike everywhere. So they're always exercising.
Yeah, that's what I am going to ask next question. That Dutch people are the lovers of the bike. So wherever they go by bicycle. Even the officials go by bicycle, and the common people they ride the bicycle. So what should be the reason behind this practice? Do you think that using the bicycle is good for health? Is it because of the health consciousness, or are there any rules set by the government?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question because it's actually a mix of the two. In some cities here in the Netherlands, you cannot enter with a car. You have to leave the car outside of the city and take either your bike or walk. So people are used to that. Also, I think education is really important. Like at school, for example, my kids, they cannot take cookies, they cannot take anything that is not healthy. They only can eat healthy at school, and they are taught how to do that. So I think it's education, is culture. People are here so used to being active, and also the government. Gas is very, very, very expensive here. So if you want to save some money, you better take your bike somewhere, and you get there faster as well. So it's a combination of all of it.
So you have just told that the unhealthy foods are not allowed to consume in the schools. So what
Yeah.
food items are allowed to consume in the foods? I must say
So,
that there must be healthy food.
yes,
So
exactly. It has to be vegetables, fruits, maybe bread with a bit of ham or cheese, or but you cannot take candies or chocolate, or it's not allowed.
so that must be that the government is the people friendly, I think.
Totally, totally, yes.
Now let us come to the food that the Dutch people take and the food taken by the Venezuela.
Sure. Here in the Netherlands, there's really delicious food. We have they eat lots of croquettes, like everything with potatoes is very common here. Potatoes with cheese, potatoes with meat. We also eat lots of pancakes, and there's something very, very particular here in the Netherlands that is called poffertjes. That is like super small, like imagine a pancake, but this size, and they put sugar on top and they eat it. Um, I would say that that's a typical Dutch, like poffertjes, croquetjes, and oh, they also have something that is super delicious, that is gourmet. It's that is basically everyone sits on a table, and they put in the middle a grill, and you have some meat or some vegetables that everyone cooks together. So you just put a grill in the middle of the table and then everyone cooks together, and it's really interesting. For Venezuela, of course, I'm Venezuelan. I think that the food is more delicious. It's spicy, and we eat lots of cheese, and we eat lots of corn. We eat lots of corn, and we have what is called arepa. We don't eat bread. In Venezuela, we eat the bread a little bit, but most of the times we eat arepa, that is kind of a corn hot bread.
English language in the country Dutch. So
Okay. In the Netherlands.
yes.
Oh, I would say that most people speak English. You need it for your work. You need it for many things. But why? Because the Netherlands is so small, and they speak Dutch, and they're the only ones in this world that speak Dutch. So they really need to speak English to communicate with the world. It's a small country that speaks a language that it's only spoken by them. So they actually need to learn English to be able to communicate to the world.
So in the public school system in Netherlands is stronger than the private school system.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So how you can justify that the public school system is stronger than the private school system? Is it because of the number of schools that are exist in the Netherlands, or
I would say
because
so.
of the facilities provided to the students in public schools?
Yeah, no, I would say that also the number, for example, where I live, is not that small, and we don't have private schools. I mean, we don't have a choice. You have to enroll your students in public schools. But you know what? I really like that, because then in the classroom, you have kids that come from different backgrounds, from different countries. There are from different social status. So that's good. That's what life is about, having everyone together and getting to know different walks of life.
Mm-hmm. So are there any special provisions or incentives provided to the students if they attend the public school? For instance, if you take my school, you can see the girls' uniform and the boys' uniform. All these uniforms facilitated, provided by the government itself, local government. And every day afternoon session, all these kids get the healthy meal. Every day they get the healthy free meal provided by the government.
Wow.
And in addition to this, they are getting the shoes, belts, and what else? Even the notebooks, textbooks, and yes, above all, even the dictionaries also they are getting free of cost. Every year, every individual student here gets the 15,000 Indian rupees as a reward to the student if he comes to school every day. So, are there such rewards in public schools located in Netherlands?
No, not really, not really. In the Netherlands, you don't wear a uniform, and food is not provided. You need to take your food with you. Like for my kids, I need to give them breakfast and lunch in a box, because nothing is provided. What is provided is books. Sorry, books. They do offer the books, and if there is an ebook, they also provide that. But concerning food or uniforms, or no, it's not. It doesn't happen here.
Yeah, being an English teacher, I am so curious to ask two questions related to the English language. How the Dutch students taught the English? Are the students taught mainly on the spoken skills, written skills, or are they taught in the four-folded skills like listening, speaking, reading, and
The
writing?
four. Good question. Good question. In primary school, it's more oral, it's more speaking and listening. But then in high school, students are taught to read, write, listen, and speak in the language.
So, at what age students in Dutch country learn the English language? From what age onwards?
Okay, actually, yeah, well, it depends on schools. For example, where my kids go to school, they take English from age 4. Okay, and but it's not really all schools. In primary schools, it's optional. But then in high school, they take English every day, but they're not taught the subjects in English. English is just a subject. And they cannot, that's one of the subjects that they need to take. It's not like they can say, oh, I want French, or no, they need to take English and another language.
So are public school teachers in Netherlands trained from time to time in order to upgrade their professional skills?
I think so. I do believe so. I think it's actually a very important issue here for teachers. Yeah.
Mhm. And one more last question that I would like to ask, that in public school system in Netherlands, the reason why I keep asking the public school system, because I myself is a public school teacher in
Of course, yeah.
That's why I would like to ask many questions regarding the public school system. My question here is the English syllabus, I mean the English textbook meant for the 6th to 10th grade students, are the English syllabus for these graders keep changing from year to year, or what's
Yeah. Absolutely, it does. But like education is a science. Education is always innovating and evolving. So it does change year by year, depending on the new trends in education, depending on what works best for the students. So yeah, it's a living entity, if you like. So it keeps changing all the time.
So who this session, could you please give a final message to my students?
To you guys is be happy. Do what makes you happy. Study very hard, because this is the moment for you to get really good grades. In the future, you won't go back and say, oh, I got good grades, that's bad. No, you will always look back and say, hey, I got good grades. I can apply for a scholarship. I can get a nice job. I learned a lot. So knowledge opens the doors to everything. Knowledge is power. So the more you study, the better you will feel, the better you will be able to talk about anything. So that's it.